Wack 100 just dropped a bomb that's shaking the rap world to its core. According to him, Universal Music Group, yes, the biggest music company on the planet, might be cutting a check to Drake for a jaw-dropping $250 million. That's not pocket change. That's generational wealth. That's mogul status. And that's enough money to make anyone look twice. But what could possibly be behind this massive settlement? Why now? And is there more to the story than meets the eye? Wack didn't give away all the details, but just a mere mention of this figure set off alarms all across hip-hop. You don't just casually say someone's getting $250 million without people digging deeper. So what's really going on? Is this Drake's ultimate power move? Or is UMG trying to silence something bigger? Let's rewind a little. Over the past year, Drake has been making more business moves than ever. He's not just rapping. He's building empires, launching new ventures, and expanding his brand across every lane. But behind all the smiles, private jets, and OVO drops, something has been brewing between Drake and the industry machine. UMG, the label giant that controls some of the biggest artists in the world, has been working with Drake for years. They've made billions off him. But if Wack 100 is right, it sounds like Drake might have been owed a lot more than what was on paper. Now think about this. $250 million isn't the kind of number that comes from a contract dispute over a few albums. That's big league money. That's we messed up bad. Let's fix this quietly money. Which leads to one big question. What exactly did UMG do that made them feel like they had to pay Drake off? Some insiders think it's about royalties. Drake has been dropping hit after hit for over a decade. He's charted more than any artist in recent memory. Billboard records, streaming numbers, digital downloads. Drake dominated it all. If UMG was underreporting or cutting corners on his royalties, that adds up fast. We're talking hundreds of millions in lost earnings over time. But would they really let it get that far? Others think it could be deeper, maybe involving Drake's masters. Remember when Taylor Swift fought for hers? Artists are realizing just how valuable owning their own music is. If Drake had some kind of clause buried deep in a contract that gave UMG control of his masters, and now that contract is being challenged, that could mean a massive payout to keep things quiet. UMG doesn't want another public fight on their hands, not with someone as influential as Drake. And let's not forget the timing. Drake has been throwing subliminal shots in recent tracks. Fans have been decoding bars, connecting dots, and pointing fingers. Some think he's been hinting at label beef for months. Maybe the settlement is UMG's way of shutting down the fire before it becomes a wildfire. If this dispute got exposed in court, it could damage their brand, and maybe even open the door for other artists to start checking their contracts. Wack 100 isn't the type to say something unless he's ready for the backlash. He's been around the industry long enough to know how things work behind closed doors. So when he says he heard about this settlement, it's not just random gossip, it's a warning shot. He's letting the world know that something major is happening, and we better pay attention. Now let's talk about Drake for a second. If this is true, and he's walking away with $250 million, that changes the game for him forever. Drake already has wealth, fame, and power. But with this kind of money, he becomes untouchable. He could start his own label and never need a major again. He could buy back full control of his catalog, launch his own streaming platform, or sign artists on his own terms. This is the kind of money that gives you leverage, not just in music, but in the entire culture. It also sets a new standard. If Drake is getting a $250 million settlement, other artists are going to start asking questions. If the biggest rapper in the world had to fight for what he was owed, what does that mean for everyone else? Wack's message isn't just about Drake. It's a signal to the whole industry. The era of artists being quiet is ending. The balance of power is shifting. But here's where things get even crazier. What if this isn't just about music? Some people believe Drake might have had dirt on UMG. We're not talking about petty label drama. We're talking about insider info, boardroom secrets, or even confidential agreements that would embarrass top execs if they ever went public. If Drake had receipts and threatened to go public, UMG would pay whatever it takes to keep that from happening. Or maybe it's a buyout deal. Maybe Drake was locked into a long-term contract, and he told UMG he's done. No more albums, no more tours, no more deals. If they wanted to keep him happy, or avoid a lawsuit, they'd have to pay up. $250 million might be their way of saying thank you and goodbye. Still, some fans aren't fully convinced. They think Wack might be exaggerating. But even if the number isn't exact, the conversation it sparked is real. There's been too much smoke around Drake and the industry lately for this to be a coincidence. Something major is happening behind the scenes. And the silence from both Drake and UMG? That's the loudest part. Neither side has confirmed or denied the rumor. That alone tells you everything. If it wasn't true, you'd expect a quick denial. But the longer they stay quiet, the more people start believing it. Drake's next move will be key. If he suddenly starts dropping music independently, or launches a massive business project, we'll know something shifted. If he walks away from traditional labels completely, that'll be the proof fans are looking for. Because let's be honest, after a $250 million payout, would you stick around? Wack 100 just lit the match. Whether it's all true or only partially true, the conversation has already changed. The industry is watching. Fans are watching. Artists are watching. And if Drake really did just walk away with that kind of money, it means the game will never be the same again. Because when the biggest artist in hip-hop forces the biggest label in the world to pay up like that, that's not just a win for Drake. That's a message for every artist who ever felt powerless. The walls of the industry are starting to crack, and now everyone's waiting to see what comes crashing down next.